Okay, so I see people slowly starting to come in. Welcome, welcome. Okay, everyone, so it is now 5 o'clock. There may be a slight delay with the sound. If so, I do apologize, but definitely use the chat if you need to. I'm going to double check one thing to make sure everything is running smoothly. I think everything looks good on my end. Again, if something's not looking good on your end, please let me know. Okay, so let's get started. For starters, if you haven't already, go ahead and type in where you're from. I'd love to know where uh, some of you guys are coming from. That'd be awesome. While you're doing that, I'll tell you just a tad bit about me, and then I won't waste any of your time. We'll go right into that bonus method that I've been emailing you about, as well as uh, the actual or finding the supplier process. We'll go ahead and get into that. So a little bit about myself. My name's RC, as you know. Um, let's see what more I can tell you about. I've been importing for well, I started importing about 8 years ago. Um, I enjoy it. It's one of the simplest business models that there is. Buy low, sell high. Uh, I actually got started, and I'm embarrassed to say, but selling knockoffs. So I was selling branded goods that weren't from the actual manufacturer of that brand. Um, so counterfeits, fakes. That's what I was actually getting into at first. And I made a lot of mistakes when I first got into importing. And the very, very first time, or maybe it was the second time, I actually lost about $200 thinking I was getting a brand new iPhone. The ironic thing about that incident is that, let's see, I want to say a couple months after that incident, I actually did go ahead and, tell the authorities because the person was actually domestic. I wasn't someone over in China. And it looks like this person, and her name, or she went by Maria, had been scamming several other people. So Maria actually served time, and I believe she was just released 2013. And this happened around 04, 05. So she did serve a couple of years for scamming people. So if it's here in the States and you get enough complaints, you will get justice. But a lot of times overseas, you're not going to get that justice. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, so enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive in what we're doing today. So the agenda for today, we're going to go over the bonus method to profiting by importing from China. I'm going to go over how to find suppliers, give you a little breakdown of that. I'm going to give you a live example, and then I'm going to tell you how you can get some additional help if you wish to go ahead and take advantage of that. And then lastly, I'll just open up some time for some questions and answers since you're on here live. So let's go ahead and just dive into it. Like I said, I'm not going to waste your time today. We're going to have a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that you get it all. So firstly, finding the suppliers. One of my favorite places to look is Alibaba, eBay, Amazon, and flea markets, and TradeKey. Now, as far as Alibaba and TradeKey are concerned, they're pretty standard. You're actually searching through, it's kind of like a special search engine for suppliers. And through that, you actually contact them yourselves. So Alibaba and TradeKey actually act as a kind of like a portal, but they're not responsible for anyone, getting scammed or not getting their goods, or the goods not being what they're supposed to be. They're not responsible. It's just a portal, just a tool. Now, as far as eBay, I like to go there and see if I can find bulk suppliers. Another thing I do is that if I notice that I'm sourcing products on eBay and that the supplier is in China, I'll contact them and say, hey, are you interested in selling in bulk? A lot of times they are, because they've already got a quantity of, 50 or a couple hundred of that product. So to get rid of it all at one time at a small discount, they'll go ahead and eat that price because, they actually can get the lower prices because that's where the manufacturers are. Also, as far as Amazon and the flea markets are concerned, I don't necessarily get the products from them, but what I'll do is I'll order the product off Amazon, or I'll go to the flea market and I'll examine the packaging to see if I can tell exactly who's manufacturing. That way I can just jot it down. I go home and then I do research myself on that supplier and then contact them directly. All right, so a lot of people have been asking me, how exactly do you look for a supplier? Or what do you look for in a supplier? And it's pretty simple. I look for seniority. I look for someone who's been with a website or that's been in business for a couple of years. I like to say 3 is a good minimum, but to be honest, just anything over a year, in my opinion. You make it past the first year, you're doing something right, or you're hanging on. And the thing is that kind of alleviates me being afraid to do business with you. I love it when I find suppliers who have been with Alibaba for 7 years. I love that, because not only does it show me that they're a sustainable business, but they're good with Alibaba. They have a relationship with them and the customers that found them through Alibaba. And believe me, if a company gets enough complaints, Alibaba will take them off the site, because they too have a reputation to uphold. Another thing about these suppliers is feedback, looking at the customer feedback, not only people who have imported from them, but also people who have just bought, their purchases at full retail. Are they happy with the product? Were they happy with the communication between the seller? A lot of times, if a person is not happy, they will leave a very in-depth feedback. They'll rant about the bad experience, so you can kind of get a feel of of what that type of experience is. Now, if you see just a ton of great feedback and just like one or two bad feedbacks, it may have been just a bad experience for that buyer. It may have been a bad, hectic week at the shop, so they weren't able to get the orders out correctly. They may have just misplaced it. It may have been mishandled in shipping. There's so many things that can go wrong that may be outside of their control, so just keep that in mind. Don't let one bad feedback make up your mind for if you're going to do business with a company. Also, any type of like premium status that a website gives a supplier is always a good thing. On Alibaba, it's called the Gold Star, and those people actually have to, pay for that. There's also some other indicators that Alibaba has to make sure that the selling community is safe, such as, has your factory been inspected? Has someone from Alibaba come out there to inspect your factory? So there's other little things you can make sure that, these businesses are legit and they're not just going to take your money and run. Another thing I like to look at is a legit, form of business. Is this a real business with a warehouse or warehouse connections? Or is this just some guy, in a living room who knows someone who has, access to suppliers? Also, good and accurate communication. Is this person accessible? Or do they have a phone number? Are they available via chat, via Alibaba? Do they get online on time and say, hey, I'll be here between these times, come and chat with me? One thing I can tell you is that a lot of times they don't like to hop on the phone. That's not uncommon. But for someone to say, yeah, I'm here between, 4 and 6, and then here comes 5 and they're nowhere around, it kind of raises a little bit of a red flag. And that kind of brings me to my next slide, is just the red flags altogether. Suppliers usually who have these kind of characteristics are a little bit riskier, and I would kind of just stay away. For example, if they're only accepting Western Union or money bank transfers, I'd stay away. If they show you an external site and it looks like Web 1.0 and it's sketchy, I'd stay away from it as well. If the emails or text communication, instant messengers, they're very casual, that's okay. But if they're using, kind of harsh language, like instead of saying, yeah, that's awesome or great, they're saying like F yeah, then that's a little unprofessional, and that should kind of raise a red flag to you that they're not used to handling, businesses and professionalism. And it may be because they don't get those type of clients. They don't have that type of clients because at the end of the day, they're not building a business. They're just wanting money, a quick buck. If our supplier doesn't get back to me within 48 hours, I kind of start to hesitate to go forward with them, because if we can't communicate, I can't do business with you. I need to make sure that there's an open line of communication in case there's any issues. And even, when good things happen, I want to be able to say, hey, I got my shipment. Hey, I like this. Hey, this is great. I want to be able to tell you that so that you can, carry it on to other people who may be interested in doing business with you. Another really huge one, please don't ignore this. When a seller sells multiple types of items in different niches, so if you're sourcing, let's say, shoes, and they're also selling bath cleaner, I would say that they may, have these legit sources to different products, but it's not directly them. So you're doing business with the middleman. You're not getting the best price, and the communication is going to be lacking because at the end of the day, they're not the person with the answers. The other person that they're reporting to is the person with the answers, and that's not something that you want for your business. Now, some things to kind of just play it safe that I recommend have worked for me in the past. Order samples. This is super important. If the minimum quantity order is 300 pieces, it's nothing for you to just kind of say, hey, I would love to just, test the quality first before I make a larger order. Can we arrange a smaller sample? I understand if the cost per unit is a little higher or the shipping is higher, but I definitely need to make sure that the quality is up to par. And this isn't uncommon, and I've only had maybe one time out of out of hundreds where I've contacted people where someone said, hey, no, we don't do samples. I thought that was kind of weird, a little odd, and I said, okay, I understand, and then I ended communication with them. So another thing is third-party payment processing. So don't just hand them over your credit card. Go through PayPal. Go through, I think it's a company called like Skills. Go through a third party, and if you're unfamiliar with that third party, do your own due diligence. Do a little research to see exactly who they are and make sure that they're legit, because it's nothing for someone to say, yeah, I don't need to see your payment information. You can use this site, but little do you know they own that site. So eventually they do end up seeing your payment information. Also, after samples are given, talk about an agreement about how you guys will handle business as far as funding and shipping and whatnot. A lot of companies will ask you for a deposit of like 30%, and then upon shipping the items, they'll want the rest, or even 70% deposit and 30% once everything's finished. And that's really common for companies that are like making things on demand, and then branding with your brand. Another thing I don't recommend, like I told you, I'm embarrassed to say, but I did get started in like knockoffs and fakes. I wouldn't recommend that for long-term success. It's not something that's going to last long. And to be honest, if someone finds it less than, the quality of the real brand, it becomes sketchy. They get upset. And they feel ripped off, even if you did sell them the product that was close related to it. At the end of the day, Nike's Nike, Nike's not Psyche, or whatever the the knockoff brand is. And also just ensure the business addresses, phone numbers are accurate. Check out other places online, like whatever China's yellow book is called, or white book. Look into that. One thing I did when I was restarting back out after I had been scammed, I hired someone off Craigslist to verify for me that the company was real. It was so cool. I paid like $15. They went there, they took a picture of the factory with their camera. The picture matched the same picture that was like on the website, or their website, so I could tell that it was a real place. Either that, or they spent a lot of time into creating this fake company. So that was pretty cool. So if you're paranoid like me, you can definitely go ahead and get kind of like someone who just needs some extra cash and say, hey, I need you to check out a company for me, make sure it's real. Now is the more exciting part that everyone's kind of been waiting for. Now you can kind of watch as I myself source. So give me one moment. I'm just going to configure the settings correctly, and I'm going to show you how I would source a product. Okay, so right now I'm at Alibaba.com, and I'm trying to think what's something that we can source. But let's see. I really like to stay away from clothing and electronics for various reasons. For some reason, electronics from China really aren't up to par from my experience. In clothing, you have to worry about sizing and colors and variations and whatnot. So let's see. How about an accessory? How about sunglass case or glasses case? So let's see, glasses case. And we only want gold suppliers, so we'll go ahead and check that. And we just scroll down. Right here in this section, we can see how long they've been with Alibaba. The longer, the better. It shows, that they're pretty stable. Alibaba has some recent features that are pretty awesome. If you scroll over the information, sometimes it will tell you the average time it takes for a person to respond to you. That can be like super helpful, because it lets you know that 80% of the time these people respond. That's great. Someone with a really low percentage, 4%. They're not serious about getting, new business. They're not serious about their business. You don't want to do business with anyone who's not serious about business. Make sense? All right, so just scrolling down, just looking at the pictures, I can see some pretty cool looking case. That looks pretty cool. I wonder what the material is made out of. No, I don't know anything about sun or glasses cases. This is just an example. But for someone who, has a passion for that or understands sunglasses or glasses cases, excuse me, they would actually know, quality when they see it. So I'm just scrolling through, and I see leather glasses case, handmade leather glasses case, sunglasses case. So that's pretty cool, and it's leather and it's handmade, so that looks pretty cool. And then the other thing is I saw that 92% of the time, the response rate is 90%, so that's wonderful. It also looks like you can have that one request, so it looks like they do accept sample orders. Very awesome. One thing I'm not liking right here is the fact that they're only accepting Western Union and bank transfers, which could be a little dangerous. And they've only been with Alibaba for 1 year. So I see, their efforts are very strong here, but there's just some things that concern me. So I probably would not go with them off the bat. Maybe with more research I would, but for example purposes, I wouldn't recommend them. Not now. Okay, so there's leather right here. They sell leather. They've been with Alibaba for 3 years. And let me get some more information about this product. Okay, cool. So it looks like there's a couple of payment terms that they have. And sometimes the payment term previews don't describe everything that they offer. And sometimes you actually have to have to contact them to know exactly what they want or what they allow, excuse me. And the cool thing about Alibaba is, like I said, they're so much better than they were when I first got started. Man, it was a nightmare kind of when I got started. They're even giving you a sample message or a template of a message to send when you want to get like the minimum quantity order. So that's pretty awesome. You could just, copy this straight from it and then edit to meet your requirements. It's friendly. Hey, how are you? Brief introduction, excuse me, lets them know exactly what you're looking for and what information you need in order to go ahead and proceed, and then the closing. So that's pretty awesome. I never even noticed they had that example, so that's pretty cool. I know they had some additions to the site, but that is pretty cool, very helpful. And you can see it's pretty cheap, 39 to 59 cents. Even though the minimum quantity is 2,000, believe me, they will definitely work with you, especially if they see that you're serious and you're looking for a long-term business. Now here's another one, 3 years, 80% response rate, pretty good. I would try to stay anywhere above 70% response rate if the response rate is even showing at all. Let's see, these people have been here 8 years, 33 cents to 78 cents. Yeah. They got a great variety of different cases. Let's see. They welcome, your own designs. That's always good for customization and actually standing out in your market. Another thing let me mention is that you can look at the company profile, and it tells you a little bit more about the company. They've got about anywhere from 200 to 300 employees. They specialize in optical instrument, basically eyewear. That's pretty cool. The thing that kind of doesn't seem to match is the cotton gloves. But for the most part, you can tell that eyewear and eye care is their business. They do about $100 million a year, and they have a wide variety of locations where their clients are. And let's see, looks like they're online right now, so you can we could actually chat with them. So that's pretty nifty. You can also just take a look at the company and then see what other products that they have beside, on cases. So yeah, as you see, it's pretty easy to significantly reduce your chances of being scammed. I think that's like one of the biggest concerns, is that you'll be scammed, but definitely not the case. So let me go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint so we can wrap up everything. All right. So for those who are wanting just that additional help, I don't have it out right now, but I will be releasing a 4-week hand-holding training, where in week 1 we're actually going to find product ideals for those who don't have an ideal of what they want to source. We'll also start actually sourcing out products, where I'll actually help you individually source out the product. In week 2, you'll actually be finding the supplier. We'll be contacting them, and we'll be prepping to go ahead and place our sample order. Week 3 is all about the ordering, gathering feedback, reviews, testimonial, reviewing the product, testing the quality, just making sure that not only is the supplier, a good supplier, but the quality of the product is good as well. And week 4, we're going to create a custom selling system using a lot of the methods that I've already shared to make sure that we have something that's going to help you complete your goal. Now, why would you want to go ahead and take this versus kind of figuring it out all on your own? Well, I'm going to have a $500 importing insurance guarantee, meaning with my help, with me helping you find the supplier and moving forward with buying the samples and then buying in bulk, as long as your order is under $500, if for some strange reason after all that we've done that, the person ends up not being who they say they are and you never get your shipment, I'm going to cover you up to $500, so you're safe. That's your quote-unquote insurance. Another thing that's going to happen is we'll have a 30-minute voice consultation where I'm talking to you one-on-one, getting to know you, your goals, your business, and seeing what we can do about making those goals become the reality. And then also you'll have a year of support from me via email and Skype. So even after the 4 weeks, I'm still here for you. I'm not going to disappear. Again, there is no way that you can, lose with this. And the great thing is it's not like some 30-day support. No, it's like for the remainder of the year. So if you do all those great things and you take action and you say, hey, I just don't have the time right now to make this happen, can I go back to it later? Absolutely. The training's live. It's handheld. I'm only taking 5 people right now because it's not something that I'm making a business out of. It's just something to help. But like I said, it's not being offered right now at this time. Now, this is the time where you can take advantage and ask me any questions that you have. And while I'm just reading the questions, I'm just going to take a look, make sure everything is correct on my end. Okay, everything looks pretty awesome. So, yeah, go ahead and ask away. Okay, so Lisa's question is pretty broad. Is it is it expensive to get started? Lisa, that's a great question. No, it's not expensive to get started, just depending on what product that you're buying. Obviously, if you're importing bathtubs, that could be a little expensive because even your sample is going to be expensive. And then after that, you're probably going to want to order 5 or 6 at a time. So yeah, it can get a little pricey. So with lightweight objects and like accessories, things of that nature, a lot of times it's not expensive. And even with ordering samples, it doesn't have to be expensive. It definitely depends on the product. But I got started pretty inexpensively. So yeah, so definitely not anything that you can't do. I got started in college. If anyone has been a college student, a lot of times you're broke, like really broke. So I mean, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I got started with, I believe at the time, less than $100. I think my first order when I was in college at the time was like maybe $70, $75. So yeah, definitely inexpensive. Great question, Lisa. Any other questions? Okay, so Cal, do I import anywhere else? other than China. Cal, I've imported from not Asia, that's a continent, I'm so sorry, from Japan and Israel. Uh, and I don't mean to sound biased, but I do prefer to do business with China only because I know the cost is going to be lower for me. I believe the import or the exporter from Israel was getting his stuff from China, so there was kind of like a delay. So I only deal with China, but it's kind of like a personal preference. I'm not saying not to try it out, but Cal, that's all that I've done. So no, I've never really played too much around with any other importers other than from China. Um, Fantastic question, Cal. Thank you. Any other questions? Now is the time to ask, guys. Like, I'm an open book. Very happy to help anyone. Loving the questions. And thank you guys for reading my emails. I definitely appreciate it. I'm having so much fun teaching you guys this. Okay, Wendy, I see that you have a question. I'm reading it right now. Give me one moment, Wendy. Oh, about the 4 week training. Okay, yeah. So Wendy, the 4 week training, I haven't released it. I'm still kind of contemplating whether I want to, but since I've already said it, then it'd be kind of unfair of me to take it back. I'm going to craft it a little bit more, and then as soon as I got it all together, I'll send you out the information about where you can get it and when it'll start, all that great information. But yeah, so Wendy, as soon as that is actually, available, I'll let you know. But as of right now, I'm not selling anything. There's nothing to sell. Greg, oh Greg, you're just thanking me. Greg, no, it's my pleasure. I'm having so much fun teaching you guys this. Any other questions before we end today? I see that we have quite a bit of activity, but no one's asking any questions. Okay, no problem. All right, well, guys, look, I'm always available via email. You can actually hit reply my emails. I do get my emails. I'm a real person. I will reply to it within, usually within a day, sometimes 2 days, because life is kind of hectic for me right now. But look, I've enjoyed putting on this presentation for you. You all have been so awesome. If there's anything else you want to know, please reach out to me. Ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and bid you all farewell. Thanks for coming.